Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Thought I'd do another video for you guys. But before I get started, I was thinking I need a theme song. Can somebody write me a theme song that sounds like Trailer Park Boys or maybe like the outro song to SpongeBob? Something mellow, 15 seconds. I think that would just be a cool addition to the channel, and I could really use that. So somebody email me like a 15-second intro song, something really cool and mellow. Wanted to talk more about the supply chain. I got a couple of articles I'm going to share with you guys. Links will be down in the description as always. First one's talking about jet fuel. This is interesting because I think about what's happening in lumber, and I feel that what's happening in lumber is going to happen throughout the rest of the economy. And I feel something very similar is taking place in jet fuel right now. I'm not an oil guy. I don't know anything about oil. I don't know anything about jet fuel. But I'm looking at this article and thinking, okay, the oversupply, like, what did the article say? Production outpaces the demand. Now, I think about the production. Much like lumber has been overproduced, obviously, because we're seeing prices crashing all over the place. The demand for lumber and the demand for jet fuel was probably very similar in the same sense that there was going to be a lot of people flying and traveling and consuming, and there would be a need for this jet fuel to, whether it's transporting people or stuff, the demand for jet fuel was going to increase. And when you have like just the orders, like, we have all this demand coming and you're barely going to be, your production is not meeting the demand as it is, you really need to increase your production. Just like what happened in lumber and the prices started going up as nobody was getting their supply, they produce, and then all of a sudden they meet production, they meet demand. In fact, they realize they are overproducing, and now you see the prices dropping dramatically. Well, I have a feeling that jet fuel situation has taken place. And now the rest of the fuels, it doesn't seem to be that way according to the article, but it does seem to be taking place inside of this jet fuel part of things. So that leads me into thinking, okay, well, what other items out there are overproduced? Cars. Cars are being overproduced. Even though there is a huge demand for vehicles, because they're being incompleted, it's not as if they're not being produced. The production is still going. They're just sitting in a field somewhere, not being purchased. Well, eventually they're going to get their component, and the vehicles will start going into the market. At the same time, there's going to be new production coming in with those vehicles. So the demand for vehicles is probably going to be met pretty quickly, as all the past vehicles that have been produced and should be in the market right now are sitting, waiting, and the new production comes in at the same time. How long this takes for it to happen, I don't know, but it will happen at some point, and there will be a flood of vehicles coming into the market. I can only assume that in order to get the new production, like the brand new vehicles sold, that they are going to have to unload all those past vehicles that have been waiting to be sold for a cheaper price. Very much like all this inventory sitting at the lumber yards has to be sold for a loss in order to get in new stock and sell it for a cheaper price and profit again. I have a feeling that's going to happen with trucks. It's going to, happen with shipping in by plane because of the fuel. Same, these things are starting to affect the bigger, broader economy. And it's only a matter of time before it really starts to show itself. What else did I want to add to that? Oh, but that was the thing about like money velocity. See, like, you can stimulate the economy and get a bunch of money moving, and this money's like travels through the economy, and people say, look at all the inflation taking place. Well, when you're depleting inventories and there's demand for it, you're going to see price inflation. You're going to see price inflation no matter what happens in that situation. But if all of a sudden you have a flood of production coming in and you don't have a bunch of stimulus at the same time, what do you think is going to happen with prices? Now, a lot of people will argue with that one, but that's what I see happening in lumber. I only imagine it's going to be time before it happens throughout the rest of the economy. There's some things that may not come back in such fashions or as quickly as just like, as that. I mean, some things, some companies, they're going to be forever damaged by this, and I don't think we really know which ones those are going to be until after all this is said and done. Well, because the lack of car sales, because the lack of home sales. Think about this. The expansion of money and credit is inflation. If you do not have new home sales, then you do not have people taking out loans to hand over to an agent who is then happy and goes on vacation and spending that money, who then spends the money throughout the rest of the economy. You see, that's money velocity, how quickly these things change hands. If you don't have people buying a brand new car, then you don't have a salesman who's earning commission, spending that money into the economy. If you don't have restaurants opened up to full capacity, you have less tips being handed out, less money going into the economy and spent. This is money velocity. When you hand out a bunch of stimulus and it doesn't go to purchases but actually goes to paying down debt and being saved, that slows the economy down, or it slows money velocity down. It can make the economy look great as the stimulus is getting spent, but it's just like getting high. Once the high is off, then you feel like hell again, and you need to get high again in order to feel good. So these are the things that we are experiencing, and I can imagine the hangover is really coming. It's only a matter of time before it's really noticeable. That can change if we go back into lockdowns and stuff, more stimulus handouts, things like that. If they do things like that, you know the economy is in shambles, or else they wouldn't be doing it. All right. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know. Write me a song.